couple of years ago, I reviewed the Sequent Supercharger 2. It was the first smartwatch powered entirely by the movement of your hand. Well, now they've launched the Elektron. Here it is. Lights, please. Wow, look at that. One of the really nice things about being a YouTuber is that companies send you all sorts of interesting things to review. And this watch is a good example. With its electric blue dial and the electronics visible behind the face, I think this is a really cool looking watch. Very gadgety. But that creates a bit of a problem, because how do you know whether my review can be taken at face value? Okay, so I haven't actually been paid any money to say nice things about it, but who wants to be rude about a company that's just sent them a $600 watch? And another thing, most YouTubers like me rely on companies sending products in for review or they'd be bankrupt. In my case, even with companies sending me the odd freebie, I'm probably spending 10 times more on gadgets to review than I make from YouTube advertising. So it's possibly not the best business model, although I do have a very well-stocked toy cupboard. Now, as it happens, I bought my first Sequent watch a couple of years ago, and I bought it for two main reasons. The first was that any self-respecting man needs a watch called a Supercharger, much like you need a car called an Interceptor, or a pepper grinder for that matter called a pepper cannon. The second was that it never needs charging. Oh, and it's round. All watches should be round. I really liked my Supercharger, but it did have a couple of foibles. First of all, it was about as accurate as my grandfather's 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 grandfather clock. If I didn't synchronize it with my telephone regularly, I found it lost quite a lot of time. And the problem was that synchronizing it was a bit of a faff. So I couldn't be bothered, and after a while I found myself living in a completely different time zone to the rest of my family. Secondly, the pedometer was a bit hit or miss. Actually, it seemed to measure steps okay when I was out for a walk, but it did have a bit of a problem differentiating between the movements at my desk and walking. So if I had a sedentary day, the iPhone might say I'd done about 1,000 steps, whereas the watch would give me 5,000. It did make me feel better about myself, but I'm not sure it was doing much for my fitness regime. So is the Elektron here any better? Well, I have actually been wearing this thing for a few weeks now, and I have to say it's a huge advance on the last one. First of all, this one doesn't lose time like my last one did. Actually, it doesn't lose time full stop. Second, the pedometer seems much more accurate. On a day spent mostly behind my desk, but with a little pottering around the house and a short walk, the Elektron recorded 4,748 steps, whilst my iPhone recorded 4,756 steps. That's only 8 steps different. Pretty good. And on another day, when I did my usual long walk round the village, the Elektron came in at 9,283, whilst my iPhone recorded 9,085. I think I may have put my iPhone down a couple of times, which would account for the slightly bigger difference. Even so, there's still only about 2% in it. So the Elektron here keeps time, it records exercises accurately as an iPhone. What else? Well, it also has a pulse oximeter to tell you your blood oxygen levels. Now, I'm not entirely sure why I'd want to check my blood oxygen levels, although pulse oximeters were all the rage when COVID first arrived. Also, I used to smoke a lot, so I guess this thing could be quite useful for when the emphysema hits. And in the meantime, nice to know I'm prepared. Now, as it happens, we've got another pulse oximeter in the house, so let's see how they compare. Just pop that on the end of my finger. And it's 5 clicks on the crown of the Elektron to take the reading. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get a red light to show you it's working. Switch that one on. Now the dial on the Elektron is pretty small, so I think I might actually need an eyeglass to read it. Look, I've got a 99% reading on the finger. Let's see what happens on the Elektron. Now, still nothing. I tend to find it takes a little while longer than the finger one to take a reading. We might have to fast forward. Here we go. I'd say that's showing about 95%, compared to the Braun, which is showing 99%. So that's actually quite a big difference. The Braun's saying I'm at the top end of healthy, and the Elektron is saying I'm at the bottom end. Not sure which is right. Now, the Elektron will also read your heart rate. It'll do that either automatically every 5 minutes, or every 30 minutes, or every 2 hours. Or you can take a manual reading by just pressing the crown 4 times. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Now I think this one takes a reading a little bit faster. Again, I may need to fast forward. Here we go. And that's saying 62, 4. I'd say that's 65 compared to 67 on the finger. So that's pretty much of a muchness. Now, finally, the Elektron measures your time sleeping. It does that by measuring your movement, so I'm not entirely sure how accurate it really is. It keeps telling me I've had 9 hours sleep, when actually I went to sleep at 2 a.m. and got up at 8. So there we have it. This is quite a rudimentary smartwatch in that it only measures the time, your step count, your sleep time, your heart rate, and your oxygen levels. You can't start your car with it, or control your garden lawnmower, or turn the kettle on, or answer emails, or anything else for that matter. But I don't want to do any of these things. All I want is a pedometer and a watch. And I want a watch that I don't have to charge every day. So the Elektron here really is all I want. Except there's one small design flaw. I wonder if you can guess what it is. To show you the problem, I've filmed this watch in action. First of all, brushing my teeth. What's the time? Am I late for work? A bit later in the day, outdoors. Is it time for lunch? And later still, is it time for the evening news? So, did you spot the flaw? Now, earlier in this review, I showed you some footage of this watch which made the dial look luminous, because that's what it looks like on Sequent's website. But I'm afraid that was just a special effect. In real life, the blue hands of this watch are really pretty indistinct against the black watch face unless you're standing outside in bright sunshine, preferably somewhere in the Sahara at midday. And the problem's even worse for anyone who has to wear reading glasses. I wear 1.5 times reading glasses, without which anything less than about an arm's length away is a bit blurry. So without my glasses, the hands on this watch go from being a little bit indistinct to invisible. For me, the million-dollar question is, how on earth did Sequent manage that? I mean, you'd think that legibility would be right up there on the list of must-haves for a watch. And it's not like there aren't plenty of watches they could have drawn inspiration from either. Look, here's my old Tag Heuer. This watch has hands you should be able to see when you're 40 meters under the sea. That's a feature I've used about as many times as I've fjorded the local rapids in my 4x4. Still, it is nice to be able to tell the time, with or without my glasses. This watch is even better. It's a study in clarity. It's called a glycine incassori, and if you can't read this, you probably need a braille watch. So now I come back to the bit about whether you can trust my review. I think you can trust me when I tell you that the blue version of the Elektron is crap. I'm really sorry, Sequent, but it just is. Even someone with good eyesight is going to struggle to tell the time under indoor lighting. But here's the thing. I like the functionality of the Elektron so much that I went and bought myself the white version. And here it is, paid for from my own wallet. Now I have to say that the hands on this one are still a little bit indistinct in low light without my glasses. With hindsight, I wish I'd bought the one with the completely black face, as I suspect that one's even clearer. Still, this is a big improvement on the blue version, and I'm finding I can usually read the time without my reading glasses. But Sequent, if you want to make this watch better still, why not paint the hands completely white, like this glycine? So there we go. The Sequent Elektron here is a fantastic watch for anyone under the age of about 50 who wants a smartwatch with a good pedometer, which you don't ever have to charge. Just make sure you buy one with a good contrast between the hands of the watch and the face. And whatever you do, don't buy the blue one. If you know anyone who likes to know what time it is, you might like to share this film. Otherwise, till the next time, I've been Arlo Guthrie. Bye-bye.